All right, everybody, welcome back into Patriots Press Pass. We are onward with the NFL postseason. It is divisional weekend here. Just got through wildcard weekend on Monday, ending with a shellacking of the Philadelphia Eagles by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And like I said, we're now into divisional weekend here with our picks and predictions powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Make sure you go to FanDuel.com/Boston, where they will give you a ton of bonus bets for signing up through our code. So FanDuel.com/Boston. We're going to go through each of the 4 games, divisional round here, with Tayler Kyles from CLNS Media. And then we're also going to finish off with some Super Bowl picks. We'll go through the odds there to look at the odds for each team, and we'll each give our pick as we're down to the Elite 8 in the NFL playoffs. But first, we're going to go through the games. The first one being the Houston Texans traveling to Baltimore to take on the AFC's 1 seed in the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 9.5-point favorites at home. The total in this one is 43. Yeah, I'm with you. It's a big spread for a Houston team, right? A Houston team that just kicked the crap out of the Cleveland Browns, who have one of the best NFL's defense, or the NFL's best defense. CJ Stroud balled out. He had one of the better, I would say, rookie performances of all time in a postseason debut. He was spectacular. And they were able to shut down Joe Flacco and that Cleveland offense that was roaring for a while. Obviously, different beast in Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, which is why they're the 1 seed and they had to bye this week. But still, 9.5 points seems like a lot. So Taylor, Baltimore having some time off. Lamar Jackson hasn't played in close to a month because he took last week off as well of the regular season. So what do you make of Houston traveling to Baltimore? Can Houston cover 9.5? And do they have a chance to upset the AFC's #1 seed?
So I'm looking at the Ravens injury report. Jadeveon Clowney's been sick all week, at least so far. We're recording this on Thursday, so we only have up to Wednesday. Right. But then you got Marlon Humphrey didn't participate 2 practices with a calf injury, and then Tylan Wallace. That's supposed to be. Never mind. So those are 2 pretty big ones for the Ravens. That said, so last week I thought that we were going to see playoff Joe Flacco and that the Browns defense was going to play well because they were the best defense in the league. Silly me. Now, Flacco had the pick 6, which was also, if you saw them mic'd up, it was really cool where D'Amico Ryans actually called it out and told the linebacker exactly what was coming. He was just watch the quarterback, jump the route, which is pretty sick. Yep. But at the same time, man, the Browns defense, the tackling was atrocious. Yeah, honestly, both defenses at points, I was like, dude, who wants to win this game? Because it was really bad effort. But that said, this Ravens defense is not them. I thought that, playoff defense was maybe going to be something that finally got to CJ Stroud. And one thing, he's been phenomenal. But when you look at his tape, he's still young. He still misses some big opportunities. Oh, yeah. There were Dalton Schultz had a big drop. He could have put up way more yards and points than he did, which is one that's good because you can improve on that and take advantage of them the next week. With the Ravens, though, one, I think not only are they going to make it tough because of their scheme, they're going to disguise, they're going to change up the picture on him and make things a lot tougher in that regard, but they're also loaded and they're way more disciplined. The Ravens are not the Browns, where the Browns kind of just fly all over the place and rely on their athleticism. The Ravens are more like the Patriots, where they're smart, they're disciplined, and they really make you earn everything. So I don't think those shots for CJ Stroud are going to be there as often, or they like to do a lot of under center stuff and build up to it. The scheme is good enough that I think there still will be opportunities, but then it's can you capitalize on all of them? And not only do you have to deal with their defense, you have to deal with Lamar. Mm-hmm. And Lamar, I don't think that the Texans, they've been really good, especially the run defense. I think they went from one of the worst last year to top 5 this year. I want to put some respect on their name, but Will Anderson's also hurt, so we'll see if he plays or not. I think he's supposed to, but not sure for sure. And yeah, man, Lamar, I think he's the MVP. And that offense is loaded. He's just so talented. Even if you have a good run defense, he completely flips the script because he's just one of the hardest people to tackle in the league. So, damn, man. I'm thinking this
points.
Out. 9.5 points. Oh, I don't want to say this, but I think this will be the real welcome to the NFL game for CJ Stroud. He's put it off because he's been so good, but it's the Ravens. I'm not betting against the Ravens defense and their offense. I can't. Is 10 points a lot? Yes, but I also think that once this game starts to get away, I think that Ravens, again, like I said with the Browns, are kind of a team where they can start running it up once it kind of gets out of hand. So Oh, I feel so silly, but yeah, man, I think the Ravens can beat them by like 10 points. And I do think the score is I think it's gonna go over.
Yeah, so over, what was it, 43? Yeah, over 43 and a half. I'm with you on that pick as well. But as much as these games, do get out of hand when Baltimore plays, like they've put up like 50 burgers, I think, a few times this year. I know they just did it to Miami a few weeks ago. Once they get rolling, they don't really stop. But I am still very much on Team CJ Stroud right now. I think as much I know I'm with
feel
you.
bad.
No, exactly. But I understand the thought process of, well, Baltimore can win by 10. They've done it a billion times this season. But I still like the momentum Houston has. I didn't pick them last week. I learned from it, so I'm taking them this week to cover 9.5. You have a thought before we move on?
For context, this is a team in their last they lost to the Steelers because they weren't playing their starters.
Right.
Their last 4 games, they beat LA 37-31 in overtime. Then they beat the Jags 23-7. They beat the 49ers 33-19, and then they beat the Dolphins 56-19. Let's understand what we're dealing with.
No,
I know they're coming off a bye week, but like that is insane. And this is, I don't know how often the Texans and the Ravens even play each other. I would assume because the Ravens are consistently good and the Texans have been consistently bad, they probably haven't faced each other more than like a couple times the past few years. And the thing with Lamar is if you do not play him often, there is no way in hell you can prepare for him. It's just because he's one of one. So I'm
pretty sure he's only lost one game against the NFC because they never see him. So it's impossible to play against him. Right.
That's insane. That's insane. Oh my God. I have goosebumps, but fun goosebumps, but also scared for CJ Stroud goosebumps.
So I'm still going to take Houston with the points, even though you just told me all that. But
maybe I'll be right for
once. Our track record here, sometimes isn't great. You're probably going to be right here, but I'm going to take Houston with the points. I still think Baltimore wins, but I think Houston can keep it close. So I'm on the Texans. He's on the Ravens. We're both on the over 43.5. Moving on to the first game of the NFC. First game of the NFC this weekend, where the Packers will travel to San Francisco to take on the NFC's 1 seed, the San Francisco 49ers. The spread on this one, also 9.5 points. The total is at 50.5. Pretty high for two defenses, I would say, who San Francisco is obviously has one of the better defenses of football. But the Packers, man, they really showed up last week against Dallas. The Cowboys, I looked this up earlier for a piece I was writing. The Cowboys were averaging 38 points per game at home, and they had not lost at Jerry World this season. The Packers went in there, and prior to the fourth quarter, where they sort of, I think they just kind of let up because they were winning by so much, they only allowed 16 points through 3 quarters, and they put Dak and that offense into a tizzy basically the whole time. So Green Bay defense looks real good. San Francisco defense, one of the best. High total, which is kind of crazy. Like I said, 9.5 point spread, according to FanDuel. So Jordan Love's playing well. San Francisco obviously hasn't played in a week, but they're the number 1 seed for a reason. So what do you make of this 1 versus 7 matchup in the NFC to kick off the NFC's divisional weekend?
So this was another one I got wrong last week, where I really was pretty convinced that we were going to see Jordan Love. I didn't think he was going to play badly, but I thought maybe we were going to see him, face defense and actually get slowed down. Obviously, that did not happen. As good as the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, I said it week 1 about Dallas's defense. They dominated all season long pretty much. And then last week I mentioned it again and they finally gave in. So I was finally right about that.
Maybe you just shouldn't have listened to me. That was bad on your part. But at the same time, one thing is, so I'm trying to see, the Packers still have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, which is one of those where it's kind of similar, where the Niners, once they get that run game going, everything opens up and you just can't really stop them. Jair, another thing about last week's game where with the Jordan Love versus the Dallas defense, I was wrong. He torched them. Yep. But Jair playing was a huge factor in that game. And that was one thing that going into the game, we weren't sure if he was going to play. Now here, I think that the 49ers just have too many weapons for you to just think that you're going to stop one guy. It's like you're going to stop Debo, you're going to stop Ayuk, you're going to stop Christian McCaffrey, you're going to stop Kittle. It's too many guys. Right. It's tough because I really do think Jordan Love is starting to show us that he is legit and needs to be considered in like the top 10 quarterback conversation. Just because like he has the athletic ability, but he's also not making mistakes and really seizing it. So stuff. I kind of want to go the same route, honestly, where I still like the young guy, and I think it's a talented team. But like, this isn't Super Wildcard Weekend anymore.
Yeah, I
This
know.
is like the
It's the
divisional round.
playoffs,
This is
right?
right. This is the big boys. So, yeah, just it's the same style where the that's why Ravens 49ers are supposed to be the game of the year, because they're two teams where they can run
Right.
really well, they can pass really well, and if you let them do one thing too much, they're just gonna run away from you. And I'm not sure the Packers are quite that well rounded. Aaron Jones is obviously a beast, drafted by Elliott Wolf.
Yep.
But I'm just not sure that they're quite there yet to be competitive with the 49ers the way they're going to need to be to avoid maybe getting blown out a little bit, or at least losing by 2 scores. So same pick as last time. I'll take the over for points, and then I'll say that I think that the 49ers do
win by 10. Okay,
This is silly.
Here we go. I'm opposite both of you here. I like the Packers to cover. Again, I think San Francisco wins the game, but that's just, it's too many points for the playoffs. But I get your logic where a team's rested. San Fran could go out there and win by 21, and it really wouldn't surprise me. But it also wouldn't surprise me if the Packers keep it close with the way their defense and the way Jordan Love's playing. So having said that, and having said what I said about the Packers defense earlier, I'm going to take the under 50.5. I think that's too high for this one. I think this was going to be a lot more low scoring than 50.5 points. So
actually, I want to go under. I want
Okay.
to change my mind. I don't feel good about it. I feel like I'm holding myself to it. I'm not going to do that. I agree with you. I think it's going to
it's just too high. I'm kind of surprised it is that high. That's a pick that I might bet on my own straight up instead of on top of just giving these picks. So I like the under 50.5, and I like Matt LaFleur. I like Jordan Love in this one to at least keep it close. Love looks really comfortable in that LaFleur scheme in his first full season with the Packers. So I like Green Bay to cover. Before we get into Sunday's game and before we give our pick for who wins the Super Bowl, as we're down to the Elite 8 of the NFL, let's listen in to a quick word from our sponsors at FanDuel.
NFL season is wrapping up, and there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Now, the app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays, find bets in the new Explore tab, make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right, 2 more to go here in divisional weekend. The first one is Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to Detroit to take on Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions. 2 teams that I love, and I'm having a hard time figuring out who exactly I want to pick in this one because, as I've said in this show many a times, I'm a huge Baker Mayfield fan. I talk about it all the time. Loved him in college. Loved him in Cleveland. Loved him in LA when he did that Thursday Night Football, thing last year. That was incredible. And now he has the Bucs not only in the playoffs, but they just took down the defending NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles last week. But they go to Detroit to take on, like I said, the Lions, who I don't know if you watched that post-game thing from Dan Campbell in the locker room, but I just watched it again before we came on here. And when he looks at Jared Goff and he just goes, "You're good enough for frickin' Detroit," and throws him the game ball. That was awesome. That was the coolest thing in the world. I love that team. Brad Holmes has built a hell of a roster there over the last 3-4 years. One of the better general managers in football right now. So 2 teams I like, and I'm gonna have a tough time figuring out who I think is gonna win. So I'm gonna workshop it here as we talk about it. But as far as the spread and the point total, the Lions are 6.5-point favorites according to FanDuel at home, and the total is 48.5. So 2 teams that are hot, 2 teams that, sort of have an underdog mentality to them right now. Taylor, even though the Lions are the 2 seed, they still carry that with them in Detroit. So what do you make of the matchup, and who do you think wins it?
I'll give home field advantage to the Lions here. I feel like these are just 2 really scrappy teams. And what is it, like the underrated bowl or something like that, where you got Baker and Jared Goff, both teams where their franchises didn't believe in them and didn't treat them super
both
great.
number one picks. Both number one picks who got traded. Yeah, that's true.
And now we're having success in other places, and there are teams that are really easy to root for, I think. I've seen some people throw shade at the Bucs, but I think they're a pretty fun team, especially with Baker. Anytime I've seen anything where people were mic'd up, their offensive line, they just seem like a bunch of lunatics. And Baker seems to get along with everybody. I really like them. But also,
did you see the mic'd up where there's that meme where it's like, F it, he's down there somewhere. And he threw it up to Godwin for a touchdown last weekend, and then he ran down and celebrated him. He goes, he was down there somewhere. He was down there somewhere. That was awesome.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
I want to see them win, but at the same time, like the Lions are a tank to deal with right now. Yeah. I think they're a little more consistent. Their defense still kind of worries me at times, to be totally honest. And I do think the Bucs are going to have their fair share of big plays. I think this is probably going to be, I don't want to say a low-scoring game. I feel like it's going to be one where the Lions put up 24.
Okay.
I think the Buccaneers, I think they manage like 14-17. That's how I'm feeling.
All right.
Yeah. I'll lock in that score, 24-17.
24-17. Taylor has the Lions then -6.5 covering by the hook there, and that is under 48.5. So lock it in. Taylor's on the Lions and the under. Once again, disagreeing with you here. I'm on the Bucs and I'm on the over.
All right. I like
again,
this.
And there's I know that we're going to be able to tally up who wins and loses. We'll have that. We'll have Amit make a graphic and tweet out from the CLNS account. But so that's 3 games here, and I've taken the underdog in all 3. So there's just too many points. I think like these games, and I know last weekend was, there wasn't many close games, and there, it was crazy football, but it wasn't necessarily great football. I think the script flips this weekend, and I think just about every single game is going to be close. So I find it hard to not take the points here, even though Detroit could win by 3, 4, 5. I still think Tampa covers. And I like the over because I like how, I like the moxie these quarterbacks are playing with right now.
Moxie.
And the game's in a dome, which one Tampa Bay reporter didn't know, but did you see that clip? That was
actually, so I thought it was funny and silly at first, but I also saw people quote tweeting it and being like, this is what happens. Like, when companies just don't have a lot of money and you don't have a sports reporter, so you end up having to send somebody who doesn't know. When I thought about that, especially with, some things happening on the beat right now, I saw that. I was like, damn, man. I'm glad I didn't say anything, because that is, like, people don't know that. I feel like that'd be something you have to be keyed into. But, man, I felt really bad for the reporter.
So,
like, you really have no idea.
The clip was funny. Yeah. The mistake was harmless. Like, people are making such a big deal out of it. Like, it was a harmless mistake that I just thought it was funny that Todd Bowles is like, nah, they're playing in a dome. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. She made a mistake. Make fun of it and move on. People ripping her it's so stupid. But
it's like, you don't know what you don't know. Exactly. I'm sure someone who covers weather wouldn't think, should I see if this is in a dome or not? Like, you're probably not even thinking of a million different things. But so it was an educational experience for me. But objectively, just watching the video, it was very funny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. All right. So that's that. Let's move on to the final game of the weekend. Sunday night, Chiefs at Bills. My favorite new rivalry in all of football is Chiefs at Bills. Like, it's always a good game. I was looking back at this matchup, and I think they've only played each other in Buffalo once in this new rivalry, and it was during the COVID year, I'm pretty sure. And
okay,
so,
I was going to say, when was that? I don't remember
it was
ever being in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was a long time ago. They've played so many times, and they've had all these great games, but they've always been in Kansas City. So this one's in Buffalo, which adds a different element to it. The Bills are at home. They're 2.5-point favorites at FanDuel, and the total is 45.5. Buffalo
crowd is going to be insane.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be nuts. God. And the Bills, after starting 6-6, have won 6 straight games. The Chiefs, they have not been the Chiefs. They have not been the Super Bowl champions they were last year. They still managed to, squeak one out against Miami last week, but the offense hasn't been great. The defense has been a little suspect at times. So Chiefs +2.5, Bills -2.5, 45.5-point total. Taylor, what do you make of this one in the, like I said, one of the best matchups, one of the best rivalries in football right now?
Do we know what the weather's going to be like? Are they going to have another snow hurricane?
We'll find out. Let's look.
I think a snow hurricane is called a blizzard.
Yeah. Buffalo, New York on Sunday is going to be, looks going to some sunny skies, 27 high, 10-degree low. So no real weather. They both teams can play in cold weather, so I don't think it's going to actually be a factor.
Yeah.
It's snowing there right now, though, FYI.
Of course it is. It's basically Canada.
Yeah.
I can say that. I went to Syracuse. So this is a tough one because, like you said, they can both run very well, but the Chiefs don't pass very well. But the Chiefs pass well enough to stay in games because of Mahomes. Like, it's what we talk about every week. It's are the receivers going to make the plays they need to, and what's probably going to be a close game. But I feel like if you're talking about like who might make a mistake, like I trust Josh Allen to make a critical mistake more than I trust Patrick Mahomes to make one. But at the same time, like when does that mistake come? Is it like is it right in the second quarter? Is it in the second half? But when they can still come back from it? This is tough, man. This is a crapshoot. Really, you can just kind of like flip a coin and figure this one out. But I'd say it's going to be high scoring. I feel like it may be slow to start, and then like the floodgates are just going to open, and it's just going to go boom, 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 boom. So I'd say over for points.
Okay.
I think that what was the spread again?
2.5. Buffalo's favored by 2.5.
At home.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I'm taking them too. Yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah,
I'm going Bills minus 2.5, and I like the over because these games get nuts. Over 45.5, and the Bills win and knock off the Chiefs, and the Bills play in the AFC Championship game coming up next week. So those are our picks for all 4 games this weekend. Before we get you out of here, Taylor, I want your pick on who wins the Super Bowl right now. Who do you think raises the Lombardi Trophy in the middle of February?
I think it's the Ravens.
The Ravens.
I think that.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're I think the most well-rounded team, and in terms of the teams with like elite quarterbacks, like Josh Allen, I feel like is just so prone to making kind of those silly mistakes, and their defense can really show up, but they're not. I don't think they're the Ravens defense either. And then like Lamar Jackson is just the great. Like there's no one like him. I think the closest thing just to physical talent is probably like Josh Allen, where he really does scare you with his legs and his arm. And they're just so talented. They're loaded. They got I think Dalvin Cook basically is replacing Melvin Gordon because he fumbled against the Steelers. Yeah, I think the Ravens. I really need to see something different this weekend for my pick to change. Even if they end up playing the 49ers again, like it's still Lamar Jackson versus Brock Purdy. That's kind of easy for me. Yeah.
All right. Taylor's on the Ravens. They are plus 270 to win the whole thing right now at FanDuel. I'm going to go with value-wise. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl.
Value-wise, that sounds smart.
They have 9-1 odds, plus 900. Bet 100, you win 900. Bet 10, win 90. And that team's good right now. They have they have a really good roster. They're playing hot. They're playing at home this weekend. So if I was a betting man right now, if value-wise, I might take the Lions. But I also my pick is the Lions, but I look at the odds, right? And you can get the Bills at plus 490. And I don't hate that either because but then you're banking on them to beat the Chiefs.
I just don't think they got this. Yeah, I don't think they have the stuff. You bank on them getting out of the NFC. Like I'm already trying to think of like, all right, could the Lions beat the Niners? Like maybe if they catch them on a bad day, but the Bucs, like I'm rooting for them, but I do not see them getting out of the NFC and then beating whoever comes out of the AFC because that's just like we're talking about super powered humans at that point.
Right.
Like Brock Purdy saves you a bit with the Niners, but you get to the AFC, they're not messing around.
No, I feel you. All right, so Taylor takes the Ravens. I'm taking the Lions. That is it for us this weekend. We will be back for AFC and NFC Championship game weekend next week here on Patriots Press Pass. We'll find some other props and stuff too. To get you through the weekend. A reminder to go to FanDuel.com/Boston if you haven't already to sign up and bet with us over at FanDuel. They'll give you a bunch of bonus bets over there at FanDuel.com/Boston. So until next time, thanks for watching and make sure you rate, review, subscribe to Patriots Press Pass as we'll be here all offseason long following not only the betting trend but also the New England Patriots as they embark on the Gerard Mayo era. Thanks for watching.